She showed up, impressed everyone, and then suddenly, the internet couldn't figure out where she went. Caitlyn Bourne's name still sparks debates, theories, and comment wars, even though she barely says a word publicly. Some fans swear there's more going on behind the scenes. Others think the mystery is completely overblown. But when a young off-road talent earns massive attention and then goes quiet, people start connecting dots that may not even exist. So what's actually real? What's been twisted by rumors? And why can't fans let this story go? Let's break down everything people keep arguing about. Most people think Caitlyn Bourne appeared out of nowhere, but her story didn't start on YouTube. It started on brutal rock courses where even veteran drivers struggle to finish. Before the online debates, she was already building a reputation as a serious competitor. Reports from Utah described her lining up against adults, staying calm under pressure, and consistently placing near the top. That alone turned heads, because extreme rock crawling isn't forgiving. One wrong move can destroy a rig in seconds, yet she drove with the kind of control that usually takes years to develop. What made her stand out wasn't just skill, it was composure. Judges and spectators noticed how she treated high-risk obstacles like puzzles instead of panic moments. That quiet confidence created buzz in off-road circles long before casual viewers learned her name. By the time clips started spreading online, insiders already saw her as the next big talent to watch. But talent attracts attention, tracks fast, and attention always changes the story. And once a wider audience stepped in, everything around her stopped being just about competition. Then came the moment that turned her from rising competitor into off-road legend. During a 2021 run, Caitlyn took a fall that sounded unreal even to experienced drivers. A roughly 30-foot drop that completely destroyed the vehicle. In a sport where smaller accidents can send people home shaken, that kind of tumble should have been career-ending. Instead, she walked away. No dramatic meltdown, no public panic, just a totaled rig and a story that spread like wildfire through the community. Off-road fans replayed the details over and over because it captured the razor-thin line every crawler faces. 1 second you're climbing clean, the next gravity reminds you who's in charge. What shocked people most wasn't just the height, it was how calmly she talked about it afterward, like it was another lesson instead of a disaster. That attitude hardened her reputation overnight. She wasn't just talented anymore, she was tough. And once that story circulated beyond hardcore fans, new audience started watching her every move. But that sudden spotlight would bring a different kind of pressure next. That wider spotlight exploded when viewers began linking her to Matt's Off-Road Recovery, a channel with a fan base big enough to turn any appearance into instant fame. Suddenly, Caitlyn wasn't just an athlete in a niche sport, she was a face casual viewers recognized. People praised how naturally she fit into the chaos of recoveries, how she handled tough terrain without hesitation, and how she didn't act like she needed special treatment. To fans, she looked like someone who belonged there. And that's when the audience did what online audiences always do. They started assigning her a role. Comment sections filled with predictions about her future, whether she'd become permanent, and what her presence meant for the channel. It stopped being about a guest appearance and turned into a running narrative fans felt invested in. The more people talked, the more expectations grew. But expectations online move faster than real life. And when reality didn't match the story fans built in their heads, the conversation took a sharp turn. That sharp turn happened the moment viewers realized updates about her were suddenly hard to find. Her social media wasn't feeding the constant stream fans expected, and appearances weren't lining up with the storyline people had imagined. In internet terms, that silence felt loud. The less information available, the more people tried to fill the gap themselves. Threads popped up asking where she went, what changed, and whether something happened behind the scenes. What's fascinating is how quickly curiosity turned into certainty. Some fans spoke like they already knew the answer, even though no official statement existed. Others pushed back, arguing that stepping away from public attention isn't a scandal, it's normal life. But online spaces rarely reward patience. Speculation spreads faster than facts, especially when viewers feel emotionally invested. The mystery grew not because of a dramatic event, but because people hate unfinished stories. And once the rumor cycle started spinning, it created a version of events that felt bigger than reality itself. By this point, the conversation wasn't really about Caitlyn anymore. It was about the story fans built around her. Reddit threads and comment sections turned into mini investigations, with people analyzing old clips, reading into body language, and treating normal scheduling gaps like hidden messages. Some were convinced there had to be drama. Others argued the entire theory was manufactured by bored viewers. The wild part is how confident both sides sounded, despite having the same limited information. This is the strange effect of internet fame. Once an audience feels connected to someone, silence becomes suspicious. A private account or a missed appearance suddenly looks intentional, even when it might just be personal boundaries. Caitlyn never announced a scandal, never hinted at conflict, and never teased a disappearance arc. Yet the narrative kept growing on its own. Fans weren't reacting to facts. They were reacting to the discomfort of not knowing. And that discomfort pushed the mystery further than anything she actually did. But the biggest twist isn't the rumors themselves. It's what they reveal about the audience watching. Here's the twist most people don't want to admit. The mystery survives because fans keep feeding it. The less Caitlyn shares, the more space the audience has to project their own version of events. It's a cycle the internet runs on. A talented young competitor enters the spotlight, steps back into normal life, and viewers interpret that step back as a hidden chapter instead of a personal choice. The silence becomes the content. What makes this case stand out is how ordinary the likely explanation is. She's young, competitive, and balancing real-world priorities that don't need public approval. There's no confirmed fallout, no exposed secret, just a gap between what fans expect and what she actually owes the audience, which is nothing. Yet that gap feels unbearable to people who got attached to the storyline, and that's why the debate refuses to die. The mystery isn't powered by evidence, it's powered by imagination. And once a narrative like that takes hold, online, it can outlive the truth indefinitely. This is where the whole story loops back on itself. Because the longer this debate drags on, the clearer the real pattern becomes. The internet didn't just watch Caitlyn, it tried to write her future. Fans mapped out careers, roles, and arcs like she was a character instead of a person. When real life didn't follow the script, people treated the deviation like a plot twist that needed solving. That reaction says more about online culture than it does about her. We've seen this cycle repeat with creators, athletes, and rising talents over and over. Attention spikes, expectations explode, and any step back gets labeled as suspicious. In reality, most disappearances aren't dramatic. They're quiet decisions made off camera. But quiet doesn't trend. Mystery does. That's why her name still circulates in discussions long after the original appearances faded. Not because of hidden evidence, but because the audiences hate loose ends. And once viewers start chasing closure, they rarely stop on their own. The story keeps breathing as long as people keep retelling it. In the end, the Caitlyn Boren mystery isn't a scandal waiting to be uncovered. It's a reminder of how quickly the internet turns curiosity into mythology. A skilled young driver stepped into a spotlight, impressed people, and then chose a level of privacy that didn't match the audience's appetite. That mismatch created tension, and tension creates stories. Over time, those stories started sounding bigger than the real events that inspired them. What keeps fans hooked isn't proof of drama, it's the open ending. People want a final chapter that explains everything cleanly, but real life rarely wraps itself that way. Sometimes a person just moves forward quietly, and the audience is left with questions that don't get answered. That silence isn't sinister, it's human. And maybe that's the part worth remembering. Not every gap hides a secret. Sometimes it just marks the point where someone chose their life over the spotlight, and the internet kept talking. Anyway,